Let's take a moment to just allow into our minds the appearance of thoughts and concerns, worries, obsessions, issues, challenges, past, present, future. Let them be present there without reacting. Father, Mother God, we recognize what we've brought to the altar today, and we choose not to try to deny them, minimize them, nor fix them ourselves. Everyone together, we breathe into the knowingness of all these issues, and we exhale with a feeling of letting them go to God. We give you all of these issues, thoughts, worries, concerns of any kind. Physical, emotional, financial, personal, romantic, all to the heavens. We ask the Divine Mother, the Holy Spirit of God, to lift these up into her presence and disperse them into the nothingness that they are. They have no real power. They have no real ability to hurt, harm, affect us, hold us back. This is what we've made up, and they're false gods. And as this is all lifted and dispersed, the real God, the God of love, shines its light in and through us, reminding us of our deservability of all things good. And we breathe that new thing into our being, into our soul, with gratitude. Such beauty you are, Father, Mother, God. Created in your image, so too are we, beautiful beings. Help us to see that, know that, feel that, experience that in ourselves and in each other. And so it is.
Now please join me in reading our mission statement, which you can find on this white card. Together we say, the Global Center for Christ Consciousness is a spiritual center for students and masters on the spiritual path. We are dedicated to awakening the inner Christ and to creating a world of love, peace, joy, and abundance. And now for our sacred reading of the day.
These are words from Peace Pilgrim, a spiritual teacher who walked across the United States for 26 years, speaking about peace. Inner peace is a feeling of complete and absolute oneness with all creation. When you have found inner peace, you have no more needs. There is a criterion for which you can judge whether your thoughts, what you are thinking, and things you are doing are right for you. The criterion is, have they brought you inner peace? Every good thing that you do, every good thing that you think, vibrates on and never ceases. The good remains forever. When you find peace within yourself, you become the kind of person who can live at peace with others. And so it is.
So it is.
Good morning, everyone. What would you like us to experience or share today, topic-wise?
Clinging, confidence,
Conflict.
Handling the judgment of others.
Hmm.
Virtues.
emptiness,
That's good, thank you.
Loss.
That's good, thank you. Very good. For the folks online, there's quite a few topics. And by the way, that doesn't mean that if you're sort of shy and you don't want to name something, or if you're not in the mood, or you don't know how to word it, doesn't matter. It's all going to come through anyway. Right? I mean, it's just, We have such great feedback from people here, but also online around the world. I mean, how much there's a resonance. They feel like somehow they're thinking about something and then it comes up in the talk. Sometimes so specifically, it's frightening, Thank you. Yeah. That's because we're rad. Well, to me, a way to look at that is just try to, like, if I sat with you and you're sitting back at your home and later on today, the way I think about things like this is that's how much God actually cares for us, that it would know that you're wondering about that thing. So you could say, well, that's interesting that Michael seems to pick these things up, which is very cool. I'm glad that I can do that. But I couldn't do that if God didn't actually tell me to do that. And that's God responding to your thoughts and prayers. Think about that. It's not just a cool, fancy test of my intuition. I mean, this is all about God caring. Think about that. And really soak that in. This is not the superstitious God that shows up once in a while or just for one race or for one person or one couple. This is the way everything's going. Everyone's getting back to this belief that God cares, that there is a God, and that it actually cares. Day-to-day basis. It's not like God cares only when you pray, only when you have challenge, only when you're doing something favorable to God. Even with the most challenging experiences in our lives, whatever it might be, horrible abuses, there are angels surrounding you always, mourning for what you're going through because it hurts and they know that you're hurting. It's never been what we thought, which was, boy, there just must not be, a God. It's not paying attention, to us. It doesn't have the time. It's got too many things to do. It's projecting human limitations, isn't it? So instead, it's like, it is us. It is in us. It's viscerally in and through us. And it's the Holy Spirit of God, the Comforter, as Jesus called it. So this is a presence there that says, I'm very sorry you're going through this, and I'm there with you, holding space with you. Well, then why is it happening? Boy, that gets to be big stuff. Why is it happening? You're asking about things like conflict and healing and emptiness and loss. God's with us through all these things. It can't not be with us through those things. Understand that. The absolute most important reason to be, that we're here, the most important thing to do while we're here is connection with God. The most important thing. So if that is the number, no, I think my children are more important. No, they aren't. Well, I think finding my soulmate. No, it isn't. Communicating with UFOs. No. Nothing. Understand, nothing even exists but God. So what could be more important? Even if you were to try to justify it or argue. Well, there's a few other things that are equally as important. They don't exist. This is a hologram. So whether you want to go that far into it, or if you want to believe that everything exists, and so some of them are supposed to be decided by you, which ones are slotted as most important, least important, which is a manic way of living, anxious way of living. Even if you could do that, God should be at the top. And it should be a distant second, even if there were many things. But also understand, what if there aren't many? What if it's just only God that matters? There's God and our imagining that there isn't God. So everything else, getting stoned or having children, or going to college, these are all parts of the hologram. They're just things we make up. When you go to the other side, they never ask you what college you went to. Do you understand? They couldn't care less. I mean, they couldn't. You're not like, oh, well, yeah, Harvard, man. They're like, sorry. Because you went through all that just to figure out it doesn't matter. How did it change you and your connection to God first? self second, others third, which are all one. So it doesn't change that I said there is but God. There is but God, and then there's all of our lessons related to the times we forget God. Lessons. And the most important technique, tool for connecting with the most important thing in the universe, which is our relationship with God, the most important technique, people can say, what are the essentials? Tell me, what's the most important thing? Well, there's the subjective, which is what's important for you might be to work on this, and what's important for them might be to work on that. But the most important thing for everyone, communion with God. Technique-wise, if your relationship with God is the only or most important thing that exists in this universe, then the tool of getting that, connecting with that would be important, right? What is the tool? The number one tool, communion with God, also known as prayer and meditation. Well, isn't forgiveness more important? Well, that usually could be included in your prayer and meditation. What about, calling in peace? It's all included. Prayer is you talking to God. Meditation is you listening. One is you sending out what you're looking for. Here's your issues. And in all honesty, I know I'm flippant about some of these things and irreverent at times, but it's to me, because it's funny. If you think about it, when you're like, God, I could really use some new tires on my car, or I'm fighting with my ex, can you help me? If there's a God, how could it not already know that? You know what I mean? Well, in case you miss something, beep, 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 beep. However you embellish the idea of communing with God, you're on your knees with tears and so on. All of that but it's still encouraged. Even though it's sort of silly, it's right to do. You know why? Because it gets you to sort out your thoughts. That's all. It gets you. I was going to ask for this, but I can see there's something more important here, and it helps you sort things out. The meditation part is when you get out of the way. Are you done yet? No, not yet, God. I just wanted to add a few more things. Like it's a Christmas list for Santa. There's a few other things I wanted to address here in this prayer. I haven't been feeling respected and so on, and God's just, and then if you look, it's like, has to pretend, it's, beloved, anyway. But, I'm telling you, prayer is important, but I'm asking you to also see some of the humor behind us telling God what's needed, which is why Scripture and Christ's teachings, Christ's consciousness, will tell you again and again, God already knows what you need. And there's only one thing you actually need. Buddha came to a conclusion. He said, here's the cause for suffering. You think you're separate, which you're not, but people believe they're separate. So they go looking for things to help them. Those things don't help them, and then they crash. So he says life is this world is a place of suffering. Why, beloved Buddha, is it a place of suffering? Is it my karma? Is it bad, is it past lives? Those are the symptoms, he's saying. If you didn't have the first problem, you wouldn't have the fourth, the second, third, and fourth, which is you start off thinking you're separate. Then comes all the other pieces of you go looking, you find something, and it leaves because nothing lasts forever. So you're eventually going to be in pain. So you keep ending up suffering. It's like, wow, dude, don't ever become a motivational coach, Buddha. Listen, geez, Louise. How can we change our lives? Give us one of those, yes, you can do it. Life is a place of suffering, and you're never going to get it better. It's always going to leave you hanging. So it's like, this is just terrible. Because what he's saying is, it's all erroneous. It's all a lie. You think you're separate from God doesn't mean you are. So when you go looking for something you think you're missing, but you're not missing it, you're already off on a weird tangent. You're already on a hamster wheel. And then but sometimes a friend of mine found theirs. So don't tell me I can't find anything worth value. A friend of mine found their soulmate and won the lottery the same week. Wow. And Buddha's trying to say, I know, but it's going to go and they're going to crash again. You know where they're going to crash? They're going to crash with all the same issues that they had in the first place from thinking they're separate. You can't escape yourself. You've got to be able to look at these things. Again, and I've said many times, that's why if you seek, you shall find is actually, if you seek, you will become disturbed when you really see how this is all happening. You think you're separate, but you're not. And that's great news. When they say, what's the good news of the Lord? That we're not separate from God. We just think we are. Does that mean there's nothing to do? No. Unfortunately, since we think we're here, okay, everybody get ready and let's work. We're going to work at not being separate. But you're already not separate. What's there to work at? Because you think you are, so you have work to do. But it's a little easier when you hold in the back of your mind and knowing that you're not separate. It's easier to do the separate healing. As opposed to, I think I'm separate, I've got work to do. Now you're obsessively doing the work. There's more effort because you actually think it's founded on a problem. Does that make sense? But the truth is, you do your work. Pray, meditate, Om Mani Padme, boom, shakalaka, whatever it happens to be. Boom, 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 boom. And then, oh, wait. I am going to do my prayers and my Om Mani Padmes, but I'm going to do it knowing. Remind me, Lord, that I'm not separate from you. Remind me that I've never been separate. And then do your thing. Doesn't matter now. I don't care. Lotus mantras and lotus position, breatharian, and whatever else you decide to do, all that is now is your rituals that help you get where you already are. So I don't need as many rituals, and least of all do I need to become attached and obsessive about my rituals. You forgot to meditate today. Oh my God, I'm supposed to meditate, at least 1 hour a day every morning before, or else I'm not going to what? Get home? You never left. So Jesus, in a funny kind of way, becomes a different teacher because he's saying, you've had every teacher and every kind of thing under the sun as your means of awakening and spiritual healing and so on. But you don't realize that there's a humor to this. You're still thinking, I've got to get my meditation today. No. Forgive yourself for not remembering to meditate today. And then try again tomorrow. But I got this diet, this guy, in Sedona told me if I follow this diet and this little bit of powder, it's going to open my third eye and I'm going to have Kundalini awakening. Forgive yourself for listening to the loony, Forgive yourself. The forgiveness gets you there now. That's the only, if there is a shortcut, it's forgiveness, not obsessiveness, not perfectionism. If you try to get your spirituality or your spiritual path just right, you actually are still trying to play God because you're still trying to determine how you get home, what needs to be done, and how good of a job you need to do on doing it. It's a little bit more chuckling, laughing, and going, oh, wow, I just caught myself obsessing. I was like, I think I'm going to eat healthier, but I just realized 3 hours went by and I'm still in the store reading labels. Like, oh my God, was I abducted? I had, missing time. It's called obsessing. There were no aliens involved. You just got too freaky. So go from there's no MHNs and BADs and no naughty things. You know what? Set it down, reach to your right. It's called Coca-Cola and just down one. Down one and laugh at yourself for being so weird. Now I'm going to get letters, do you know what Coke does to your system? Yes, it cleans it. And if they say, do you know if it can take rust off a bicycle? think what it could do to your arteries and colon. It's like a new commercial waiting to happen. Anyway, on another note, but related note, and then we start to assume, okay, so daily communion, prayer and meditation. So you start your day in prayer and meditation, which I call communion. Why? Because I don't label it, okay, I'll begin prayer now. Okay, prayer time is done. I'm going to start meditation. Guys, your prayer begins with you talking to God about your stuff. And I pray every day, different prayers. But it's not as much needy prayers as some people might do. But prayer is good. But eventually you realize, what is your prayer really doing? It's calling upon something. It's calling out, right? That's what you're doing. Forget the words. It's calling out. So technically, if you're calling out for anything, and Jesus himself says, seek first the kingdom, what am I supposed to be calling out for? A new toothbrush? Really? Just tires on the car? Why don't you ask for the presence of God? And then, could I please? No, wait, that's still begging, which is a good thing to do if that's the level of prayer you need to do today. But you know what? There's an alternative. Picture this. Instead of, I want to feel peace, try this. Breathe in peace. Breathe it in. Call it in. Don't ask for it like it's undeserving or it might happen, might not. Just call in its presence. So prayer becomes a mantra. The word mantra, it means kind of like a mental tool, a tool to develop your mind. But mantras are also similar to what they call yantras in the Far East. And even the word prayer means to trap God. But that sounds like a negative word. You trap God. Like, it's like some raccoon, trap. To capture God, to draw God's presence, to draw in God's presence, to bring and anchor in that presence. So I don't have to ask for it. I accept it. Do you see the difference? I just call it in and accept it. So I've already set the tone. And God is totally happy with that. You're not telling God what to do. You're allowing the presence of God to be called into the moment. When you meditate, you're allowing the effects of what you called in to be integrated into your being. Peace. I've stated what I'm looking for without a bunch of words, and then I just sit in the mode, in the intention of peace. And now you're receiving its benefits. If I take a tea bag and a cup of water and go, okay, here we go, I'm going to make some tea. Done. Nothing had time to integrate. The water is still water. You won't taste or experience the effects of the tea. Get it in there. Let it sit for a while. Let your morning intention, word, sit there for a bit. And don't just go, okay, well, I'm sitting. I hope something's happening because I'm sitting. I don't know. If I had a tea bag in there, maybe I'd stir it a little. Maybe squeeze the tea bag. Let it happen. Like, don't just go, well. In meditation, don't just, okay, well, try it. Try and breathe. And every so often come back to the word peace. Sometimes I use words like peace and the presence of God. And then I just breathe it in. You know what else is going to help you integrate it? This is especially squeezing the tea bag into the water, is imagine feeling what you're calling in. Actually imagine, instead of like, yep, calling in peace. Car 54, where are you? Sorry, most of you aren't going to be old enough to know what that means. But you know what squeezes that tea bag is you breathing and filling up and visualizing. Visualize, imagine that you feel peace. Don't just go, I hope peace is getting in there somehow. Imagine it. Say to yourself, and if I were feeling this thing that I'm calling in, how would I feel differently? And it all starts to actually viscerally program and absorb into every cell of your being. Edgar Cayce once said, you take food in the morning, when you have breakfast or when you take a vitamin, he said, one of the most important things to do with your foods and your vitamins is to imagine them doing what you want them to do in your body. That's interesting. But he's saying the same thing that I'm saying about prayer. You draw something in, imagine it so. What do? We drive through and, and just drive on. No time given for digestion or assimilation. Even if the food you picked up had minimal amount of nutrients, that can change with the mind of God's child deciding to change it. I don't care what it is. You just fast food fries, which probably has nothing in it, almost nothing. And you still, this food gives me all that I believe I need at this time. Call in the power. Your mind is the thing deciding this. This has all that I need to feel healthy and strong. And breathe it in. Believe it or not, just as it's been proven you can change water molecules, you can change food molecules. And I know some people are just too tripped out about that stuff to really believe that. No, it has to be. That's what fallen children of God do. They make things having negative power over them and then not knowing what to do about it. Breathe in, seek first the kingdom. You change viscerally, inside out, front, back, left, right, up, down. Just you change and call in whatever you're choosing to call in the moment. When you're intimate with somebody, bring in something different, some presence. Just like love, real, I care about you kinds of feeling. When you look at your child's art from school today, do you just go, oh, that's nice? That was not no tea seeped into the water there, man. See, I would take that art and, ooh, I love that. But authentically, find what do you love about it? Wow, that's amazing. And, it's in the eyes of the beholder, but the beholders, if they're separate from God, they don't see much good at all. So we can change all this, but the most important thing is our relationship with God. And getting there, the most important thing is communion. I'm not intending to do just a talk on, hey, everybody pray and meditate more. Communion, recognizing we're not separate. So if you asked Buddha, Jesus, Michael, Joe Blow, anybody with half a mind, if they really got down to it, and you said, if I could have anything in the world, or the presence of God, which is the most important thing, the average person would know it's God. Because if you had God, you'd have everything. How could you be missing anything? It's just that beautiful communion. Wow. And it just feels so intact that I can't even imagine the world having the same seeming power that it once had, because I just feel so centered in who I am. So people assume when they start their day, one of you asked about judgments from others. And the word confidence, one of you asked as well. It's interesting to me because the judgments that kind of hit us, barrage us, like coming at us, and feeling inner conflict for that matter, but internal or external conflict, we think that if you talk to a good teacher, they're going to say, well, start your day, pray, meditate. People that are affirmations or treatments or whatever group they're into, just start your day and wrap yourself in the armor of the Lord. Picture yourself surrounded with white light. All these techniques to protect you from all the wicked people in the world. However, you just said the world is filled with wicked people. So if you assume that the world is filled with wicked people, they already have a cord connected inside of you. So now you surround yourself with white light. No offense if you're a white light surrounder type of person. But you surround yourself with white light, which is this impenetrable barrier, right? It's powerful to protect yourself from all the wicked people out there. But you forgot, they have spies inside of you. So now, if ever you try to get your wickedness and forgiveness techniques to forgive people out there, it can't get through the barrier that you put up. So you got this judgment ball, like a super ball, boom, 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 and it's just bouncing all over, through your being. And it's an inside job. You don't surround yourself with white light. You identify with it and beam it outward. And if white light is impenetrable, it's still true. Now nothing enters because nothing's in. There's no affinity. But people will assume, okay, I just have so many bad days. I'm going to start this technique where I pray every day. I pray every day. And then, first day of the week, so-so. Second day of the week, oh my God, it was horrible. But I started praying. I don't get it. Third day of the week was great. It's working. Fourth day of the week, horrible. And so people are going through this bipolar world wondering, how does that morning prayer, I don't see the connection happening. Where's the effects of shouldn't it be that if I prayed on Monday, great Monday. Prayed on Tuesday, great Tuesday. Prayed on Wednesday, it doesn't work that way because that's too obvious. We would see through that. So instead, it doesn't work that way. Instead, the ego will say, I see that you caught on to this thing called praying and communion every day. I am going to search through your complete history, past lives included, and try to just screw up your days so that none of them go well. But if one of them does, I don't mind, the ego will say, because the next day is going to be my day. I'm still going to get you so that you'll doubt the good days. I can't let you have peace. Hey, I get it. If I commune with God on Monday, Mondays are great. If I forget on Tuesday, Tuesdays don't go well. It's not so obvious like that. Instead, you pray on Monday, and that was your worst day. Tuesday, you're like, I don't even believe in you, God, and it's like, won the lottery. How does this work? That's just all the usual garbage of the ego to keep you from feeling peace. However, in other words, there is a problem with this communion. Does it ever happen that if you commune every day, things actually get better? It's less random? Yes, that actually happens. But what's keeping that from happening? It's called karma. Long-term karma, the first item. Long-term karma, meaning anywhere I've done anything karmically, it's in my Akashic records, anything I've ever done, it can come back at me anytime. But when you start cleaning out, if you've ever heard of like fasting doesn't just like, I started fasting and I feel instantly amazing. Some people start getting headachy, right? Some people get digestive issues, right? Because you're cleaning out old stuff. You go into a tunnel with a water supply tunnel, and you start scrubbing the walls of the tunnel, and the water looks dirty. Go into a beautiful river with crystal clear water. Run through it just one time, and all the dirt and sediment starts activating, right? It looks kind of like a muddy river all of a sudden, stream, okay? Because someone got in there and stirred it. Well, that's what happens when you start your prayer, your communion. It stirs the ego up. So it starts messing with you. And then it's going to turn you around and say, look what you've done. You've messed your life up by trying to pray and meditate. That stream was clear yesterday. Yeah, but my life was horrible. I know, but at least it looked nice on some levels. And you're saying, well, that's just not enough for me anymore. I am determined to know the peace of God and the presence of God. But long-term karma, because nothing can run through the stream and stir up the debris, nothing can cause the debris other than long-term karma. Long-term meaning any time throughout the past. So our first problem is long-term karma. So let's, like we've been told for many generations, many thousands of years for that matter, let's work on clearing our karma. But there's a couple ways of doing that. I mean, denying it doesn't help. Minimizing it doesn't help. So let's clear our karma by doing all kinds of exercises and routines and rituals to clear karma. You don't have to work so hard. Just practice forgiving. When you forgive one issue, it clears all related issues. It's not like you have to go and find every time you've made a mistake and clear it. Just clear things when they show up. And it'll start to clear, like if I have today impatience, I'm going to work on impatience throughout my lives, plural. Today I'm working on trust. I'm going to be working on trust throughout all my lifetimes. You follow? It's very efficient that way. You are not needing to be in control of that. Just allow the Divine Mother, the Holy Spirit of God. I'm here now. And I'm not here continuing to blame because that embeds and continues the karma. I get it. whatever's in front of me is likely what I'm supposed to be working on. And 1, 2, 3 signs of patience. Okay, got it. I'm on it. And, what images come to mind? This last week, a thought came to mind. Yeah, I think I'll do something on that topic. Okay, so here's a topic that's sort of downloading to me. So I just said, okay, I know that, let's say the topic is better health. So you say to yourself, okay, better health. No, don't just ask for better health because that seems like what you were being inspired to work on. Here's what I do. All images in my mind, all beliefs that keep me from having better health, I'm here to release them. You see? You don't have to pray to get things from God. What you really want to do is pray to get rid of the things that are in the way from those things already happening. Even affirmations of the truth of what is really there for you. I am prosperous if you were working on prosperity. I am prosperous. That's great. But don't forget, there are beliefs to the contrary. You can speed up the effects of knowing you're prosperous by uprooting the things that say you're not. Otherwise, you're polishing the outside of a tomb. Doesn't that look beautiful? Ew. Still corpses inside. My past, my history, my old belief systems. So you let the Holy Spirit work with you on these things. It's very efficient, believe it or not. Then you'll shift from the long-term karma, which means, throughout the ages, I know there's some things I must have done. And we just seem powerless. That's not a healthy place to be. But you work on the past life stuff. You work on your belief systems. Anything showing up in your life that doesn't resonate or exhibit the peace and joy of God, you might as well work on. You work on that, and here's what happens. You start shifting into what's called instant karma. When you clear long-term karma, you start to manifest instant karma. How do I know if I've done any work with long-term? Because they become more instant. When you start seeing that, now when I was a kid that happened, I would go, okay, I mean, honestly, I prayed several times about this. It's like a math problem. The old, the math problems that are essays or stories. There's 5 boys. All 5 climbed the fence at midnight and swam in the school pool. Only 1 got caught. How many got away? 4. You see what I'm saying? That's what all the time. It was always like that. I'd go, I don't get it. My brother did this. My other brother did this. I get caught. I was praying, stop catching me. Make them stop catching me, Lord. This is unfair. And God's going, then you shouldn't want instant karma. Go ahead and be on the long-term plan. It's called misery. I didn't know. I thought I was a victim of getting caught. What I was a victim of was my decision to keep the slate clean. I don't want any long-term karma. It's not me. It's not like you could just say, oh, instant karma, like you're on a game show. Instant karma for 10, Alec, You have to be in that consciousness, and here's how you get there. You have to decide, I don't dig these long-term payment plans. Think of it like finances. Something you owe, a debt. That's what karma is, generally. There's good karma, right? But in bad karma, it's like a debt. So do you like to be the type of person that has you own something with 80% interest rates and you never get it clear? That's what karma is. And that's why you keep coming back for millions of years, because you are on a terrible finance system with high interest rates. But guess what the solution is? Stop being interested in high interest rates. Stop being so open to that. And I've done that. When I was a kid, didn't have a lot of money, somebody could dangle a carrot and say, you could have a car. And really? Well, I didn't know I could afford one. No, you can have a car. The interest rates will be a little higher. I'm like, oh, what do you mean? Well, instead of, 2%, it'll be 200%. And I'm like, okay. Still has a 2 and a 0. What's the difference between 2 and 200? So naive. But that's you and I. That's when we sell ourselves out. That's when you say, all my friends got married. I'm the only one without. Oh, look, there's shiny stuff. He's a handsome guy. Yeah, but he's a mass murderer. I don't care. At least I won't be the only one that doesn't get to walk down the aisle. We bargain, man. We bargain and bargain and we bargain away our integrity in ourselves. Long-term payment plans. Quick fixes are going to have high interest rates. And that means the drink to fill something, the pill to fill something, all the shortcuts for spirituality, all the spiritual bypassing, they have high interest rates. Only God, here and now, comes with no interest rates, no karmic interest rates. So lose interest in high interest rates, which means you're always paying on the interest, aren't you? And it's all the ego's interests. You know what I want to do instead? Is I want to have instant karma, by the way, is pay now. So you have long-term payment plan, high interest rates, or you can start, wouldn't you rather pay on the principal? Wouldn't you?
Yeah.
On your house, wouldn't that be great? No interest, I'm going to pay on the principal. That's great. How do you pay on the principal? Learn the whole principle of any of this. The main principle is being children of God and receiving what we deserve. Shift from interest in pain and long-term payments to interest in the present. And go for the principle and pay it down. Gets you to where? Instant karma. And there's a funny thing, and I know it hurts for some of us, but there's something different about being that person that says, if I want something, I'll pay cash, I will not pay interest on this. I'll save up until I can afford it. Have you ever heard that philosophy? But those are only people that have money and can afford it. Are we talking about money or mind power? So technically, it looks like the only person that can go and get a car and pay it off rather than high interest payments or a house or whatever is somebody that can afford it. Right, use that word. Keep that word in mind, afford. Now think spiritually. Who can shift from long-term payment plan of karma to short-term and then to grace? Who can get to instant karma? Those who can afford it. But we're not talking about money anymore. It's a parallel here. We're talking about who can afford it in here. Get yourself to the point financially where you can pay for things. That's a great idea. Yeah, but it's up to my boss to give me. Yeah, I know. But spiritual things aren't related or dependent on your boss to give you the raise to be able to pay things at the time you buy them. Your boss is God, and God's like, I don't even believe in interest rates. I don't know who conjured that up. It wasn't me. And if it wasn't me, it can't be real, and it can't be an eternal law, and it can't have power over you. What are you people thinking? That's us. That's the ego telling us, listen, you don't want to be trying to go home too quickly. You need to feel things out a little bit. Question it and say, but I've been here millions of years. It doesn't know what to say to common sense like that. I mean, I wouldn't even as a kid buying something with exorbitant interest rates. Guys, I didn't even want to think about what it meant, the high interest. You know why? Because then I don't get the house. So I don't want to think about it. I don't want to be responsible and just say, you know what? I'll live in an apartment a little longer till I have better credit and can get lower interest rates. Because we want to not be aware of that we can't afford it. We want to believe. We want to let the ego world make us feel a little better than we did, giving us something and makes us look like we've got something. Well, look at me. So we're selling ourselves out. So when we move through the stages of karma, it's long-term karma, then there's short-term or even instant karma, and there's a third thing called grace. And if I asked for a vote, of course, almost all of you are going to go, grace. Yeah, I want to go with that one. You don't get to go with one. You have to grow to that. Pay off the long-term karma. Okay, well, how do I do that? Well, I don't know, various ways, faster ways. How would you like it? You want to work on this for a long period? At the very least, work on stuff that shows up in your life. Work on patterns, long-term patterns. But if I wanted to shorten the learning curve on my karma and my awareness of getting to, instant karma, there's a tricky concept, and it's called responsibility. Long-term karma, the best way to assure that you'll never get away from long-term karma is blame other people for what's happened in your life. That just locks it. That's like a contract. Oh, hold on. Say that again. Okay, and who else do you hate? And who did that? And who keeps you from being prosperous? Well, it was my parents, and they believed in poverty consciousness, so I was programmed. Oh, okay, got it. And there's a record. That's called an akashic record. And the more you talk about what everybody did to you, the more it's in your records, which becomes long-term payment plan. Contracts, long-term stacked contracts that you sign. And then when you try to break it, I went to a workshop, and we did breath work. I'm releasing poverty consciousness. I'm releasing, and then, you leave and they towed your car because you were parking in the wrong place, and it's like, how do you not want to go nuts there? But if you're embedding and instilling that into your consciousness, how did you expect a workshop to breathe it away? I have prosperity issues, but I thought being a vegan was going to erase that. No, it will not. Jeez Louise, man, what are you thinking? So something has to happen, and I get it. I do get it. It's very scary, the concept of taking responsibility. It's very upsetting to us because it implies blame. If I take responsibility, it means I'm responsible for my poor health. It's not that I inherited, diabetes from my parents, like medicine tells me. You're telling me that somehow I created these things. And of course, that feels horrible. I totally get all that. So I do not encourage you to use the word blame or allow your mind to interpret responsibility as blame. You're going to have to watch for that because the ego is going to try to do that to scare you away from taking responsibility. But responsibility does rear its head and give us an opportunity. Would you like to choose me today? Because if you choose to be responsible for what you didn't like and what you weren't happy about in your past and your patterns, if you won't take responsibility for that, you can't take responsibility to choose a new life. All you can do is wish for it. And you will have some days that go a little better and some days that don't, and you'll live in the bipolar cycles of this world. Some days good, some days bad. And incidentally, I prayed today, but the day went badly. I'm a victim again, aren't I? I don't even know what happened. I prayed, and now I have to talk to somebody about, I don't believe in God because my life keeps going badly. And I put time and effort into that because I'm not doing this right. Take a moment to breathe and recognize the challenges of the day and the good things that happen each day. They can't be by chance. They can't be accidental. Now, people don't mind saying, I did this new prayer today, and guess what? I won instantly a raffle at the store, and I got $100 worth of groceries. And I know it's related to the prayer I did. Then the next day, something goes wrong, and I don't know what happened. How come you can take, claim credit on good days? If you can't claim the others, that it's not going to go well on the good days. So laugh at it a little bit, yeah. Okay, but I don't remember doing anything. I know. You don't have to remember what you did or thought or said that caused today's challenges. You don't have to remember. That's how spoiled we are. God says, I don't need you to remember. I just need you to be willing to own on some level. This is why A Course in Miracles says, as soon as you can stop and say, all I know is that I'm not happy right now, that's a good start. Recognize there's a problem. You don't have to know all the details, but just recognize there's a problem. Then accept that it's related to your unhealed wounds. If you want to know what those are, there's techniques to go, but you don't have to, guys. Recognize if you started today, yesterday, this week, this month, or whatever, with intentions of having a great life, but some challenges came up, I recognize there are some challenges. I accept these are related to my unhealed wounds. Somewhere, I surrender them to God. It's all you have to do to empty your cup. When you say, fine, I recognize there's some problems, and you know what it was, you know who it was. I got a ticket. You know, cops, they have to have their quota. Always have some story, somebody out there just waiting. There's just some miserable cop waiting for you. And they're like, oh, there you are. Like, I'm coming after you. I just waited hours watching mediocre speeders, but it was your car. You know, and to make valid all the stats on this, you were driving a red car because cops go after red cars. I've never owned a red car and I've had a ticket. Don't let this world tell you these things to make the cop into a bad guy. And you know you're going to have a surgery and the surgeon's going to botch it once in a while. If I laid out on a gurney and a surgeon came in, hi, even if he was just kind of cold. Hello, Mr. Mirdad. Okay, yep, scheduled for a surgery. Okay. All right, we're going to put you under and we're going to... I would take his hand and go, dude, if I die, it's not your fault. People online, the room just got weird. But that's how I am. That's how I am. If ever, and I know that doesn't sound practical to be, because sometimes you have to deal with malpractice issues and people that are overtly hurtful. I get that in the world people do slip and they hurt. I get it. You know why? Because they know not what they do. People are hurtful and selfish because they're coming from a place of believing they're separate from God. You can't feel connected to God and be a hurtful, selfish person. So their problem is not, well, the cop had a quota. The doctor was, negligent. I know people can make mistakes, but you know why they make those mistakes or why they feel the way they can feel at times is because they're hurting. I'm not justifying their behavior. I'm not. What I'm saying is there's a point where forgiveness is called upon and not sacrifice, not retribution. Hear me out. Anyone that you hold responsible for the horrible things that have happened to you, including the surgeon who, he just had this spontaneous spasms in his arm, which always goes well with a scalpel in the middle of your midsection, right? Oh, sorry. Anybody got a clothes hanger? I understand, but I'm saying the way I am, I see it. I see what's happening. And I do my best to go out of my way to say, I do not hold this against you. I know the 3D brain justifies and says, no, this was wrong and this was wrong. But the 3D brain, guys, is 3D. How do you expect to get to higher dimensionality while judging everything from a 3D brain? How are you going to get to fourth dimension or fifth dimension if you're still obsessed on three-dimensional observations? I get it. But, Jesus tells his apostles, I chose you. You're not like accidentally here. I chose each of you. He's saying, I'm here. I know what I'm doing. Pilate, do you realize I can kill you? No, you don't have any power you think you have. I'm giving you the power. You see? It's amazing. He's demonstrating to us, here's how you can live. You're aware of it. Judas is betraying me. That's the way it looks to the people watching this. But understand, Jesus hired, more or less, not literally, Judas to do what he did. Someone's going to need to betray me. Someone's going to need to play this out. Oh, I think you'd be pretty good at it. Because Judas tended to be one that wanted things to go his way. So he thought he was going to hand Jesus to the Sanhedrin so they could actually make him the king of Jerusalem. That's what he thought. But he was blinded by his own usual patterns that things would go well if they went his way. So his self's still in there. But it doesn't matter because Jesus never condemned Judas. You won't have long-term karma if you don't have long-term judgments. Try to see through those judgments. Try to see through the people that harm. That doesn't mean you're wrong or bad. No, to err is human. If you sat with me in a session and you said, I got to talk about it because some horrible things happened to me when I was a child, I wouldn't go, it's an illusion, man. Get over it. That's not the way to talk to people. I would say, let's talk, scream it out, cry it out. I'll hold you. Let it out. Let your makeup get all over my shirt and let snot pour all over me. I've had kids I've seen worse. So boom, all this, you let it out. You help people get out the old stuff that they're carrying. And when you do that by holding space and not reacting, they can go to another level of, now that I've screamed all that out, I feel different. But don't leave them hanging in that little space because that will revert to the old. Instead, ask them to call something new in. If your family made you feel unsafe, so let's scream about, selfish people and get all that out of your system. When we're done, now I want you to call in peace and safety of God. Now watch, now they go, and they're calling in peace and safety like a mantra, and they get it. They hold that vibe. Now watch. If it only worked 1% out of 100, that 1% is filled with the presence of God. That's 1% less of believing that you are the sum total of what they did. I didn't say pretend or erase this. No. There's a day to work on the stuff through expression, through 3D means. Have your surgery, have your body work, have your breath work, go to seminars on healing past lives. Let's get that worked on. But if you're awake at all, you should notice that if you're doing all the workshops and all the prayers and mantras and yantras and so on, and 30 years later, you still have exactly the same amount of inner pain over it, something's wrong. Like either the techniques aren't good that you chose, or you didn't actually apply yourself. Does that make sense? I'm not trying to further wrong you. I'm just saying you're a holy child of God. It's technically impossible for you to not manifest what you said you want to manifest. And if that's healing, why isn't it happening? Okay? There's a part in A Course in Miracles and in the Bible. Ask and ye shall find, right? Ask and it shall be given. You've heard of that one? Okay. So we sit around in prosperity workshops going, oh, cool. I didn't know that. I want money. I want money. And we think ask and it shall be given means ask and it shall be given. The thing I'm asking for. That's so shallow, but that's fine. He says in A Course in Miracles, let me explain a little more of what I meant. It is a law. Ask and ye shall be given. Watch this, watch this. And know that everything you're given, you have asked for. No, I don't like that. I want to ask for what I'm in the mood for, and I want it manifesting. Cheesecake. That worked. No. It's going to be, okay, ask cheesecake. There it is manifesting. Instead, somebody in the audience throws a cheesecake at me. And I'm, mean people, and I can't believe they did that. I hate them now. That's what we do in life. Everything you receive, you have asked for. I don't want to hear that. Then you can't get the ask and you shall receive. You don't get the good stuff without owning the other. So before you start going, I want to manifest, I want this and this and this, stop and say, can you also accept that everything you've received you have asked for? No. Well, then don't start asking for anything. When you clear long-term karma and short-term karma and you get to grace, people that talk about, the universe is changing, the frequencies are changing, we're starting to get to a place, and they use the word technology. God, that's so stupid. You're talking about soul-level stuff, but people are like, we're going to use soul-level technology. Soul and technology don't coexist. They're mutually exclusive. Soul is consciousness. Technology is you and your brain always working. at things. So they say, I want to use this soul level, this advanced technology to manifest. Have you heard this? Instant manifestation? Have you not seen any of those things that pop up on your YouTube pages? How to manifest instantly, right? And they've got some kind of technology or technique to it. I want a new car, I want a new car, I want a new car, I want a new car. Techniques to pranayama breathing to manifest. I know it sounded like but you're trying to manifest a new car with instant manifestation techniques. No, man, listen. Hold it. Okay, so listen. When you get yourself out of long-term karma, you start getting instantaneous creations because it was only the stuff that kept the stuff from coming. Clear out the stuff and your consciousness manifests instantly. When people say, well, how come Jesus said a prayer for somebody and they were instantly healed? When I said a prayer, I didn't see the effects right away because you're not in the same consciousness. You have a buffer around you that makes time go by before the healing comes. I don't even get it in this lifetime, some people say. I mean, in last lifetime I had some illness and it didn't get healed in that lifetime. I had to wait till this lifetime or whatever the story would be. And I'm saying that isn't God. It's never God. Only you can inhibit the timing of your miracles. What about you? Well, my karma, and I can't do anything about that. Yes, you can. Take responsibility. If the healing doesn't come instantaneously, don't worry about it. So what? Call in the feeling of God's presence despite the external circumstance, and you're already more than halfway there. That's like saying, hey, even if I don't see the manifestation, I insist on believing that the law is I ask and I receive, and I am receiving. What are you receiving? Consciousness first. Call in the peace of God. But then there's a buffer inside. That's your contracts and so forth and karma that say, the ego says, fine, you think you're something, don't you? You went and did your little prayer thing, and now you have all the peace of God. Well, I'm going to make sure I increase the arthritis in that joint. I'm going to increase the annoying ex of your, husband or wife or whatever. I'm going to increase the problems. Why? Because that's your test now. When this happens, know that it's a test. Don't just, woe is me, go, oh is me. Oh, I get it. Oh, this is me. Oh, I threw this in there. Ooh, good one. Good one. Yeah, how do I know? Well, I can see it. There's not deserving and, this and that. You can see these things. And the more you get the long-term stuff cleared out, the more instantaneously you can see the short-term stuff. And then to grace. You don't just say, I'm praying for grace, I get it. Ask and you shall receive. So I should have grace. Yeah, but you also asked for a lot of things that aren't very graceful. You don't believe yet that you can instantly manifest. Well, what's the technique? Stop. Don't even watch those things. Don't watch those things unless they say forgiveness is the key. If they tell you it's by standing on one foot, because that'll somehow do something technological to the hemispheres of your brain. If you stand on one foot, except on Tuesdays, stand on the other one. And then the technology, the hemispheres will wire together, and then your divine capacity starts to expand throughout the universe, and it becomes instantaneous manifestation. Ask for anything you want. No. All that's working is a child of God is using mind power, but you haven't cleared the stuff that's in the way. So I hope this has been clear today. Clear the old stuff through forgiveness. Watch the things that pop up. Annoying things. It's not always images of people. Sometimes it's just a pattern of stuff going on in your life. That is a sign. If you're not just walking in the, with the parting of the clouds and angels choir, and you're just feeling peaceful, there's something wrong. If you're not prosperous, if you're not seeing instant manifestation from your mind, you're not bad. You're human. And it just shows us there's, a human again, one of those. Pray, forgive, and turn it around. All you have to do is forgive those little things. I don't want to believe they're true. Well, that's not going to help you. Not wanting to believe it's true isn't going to help you. Look at Jesus and up to his time. His even his apostles. Hey, listen, Peter, you're going to deny me. No, I would never. Peter, you're going to deny me. Oh, never, Jesus. Silly Jesus. You're messing with me. Huh? Listen, Peter, I'm going to tell you. You're going to act like you never knew me so you could protect yourself and stay distant from me. I would never. And what was Jesus saying? Peter, listen. It's going to happen, but I've already prayed for your recovery from that. And that's what you have to say to yourself. Jesus took what was a karmic thing, because Peter's up creek. Listen, if you deny Christ and he gets crucified, something goes with that called guilt and shame for doing what you did. You deny him. He goes and gets all this suffering, and you're like living it up back at your place with the fresh wine that he manifested before he got arrested. You think you're not going to have like a hangover from that? Guilt and shame. All of your deeds are going to come with the ego pushing guilt and shame. You forgive yourself. And that takes the long-term payment that Peter could have had. Jesus, 3 times. Do you believe in me? Yes. Do you believe in me? I said yes. 3rd time. Do you believe in me? Jeez. No. Yes, Jesus, I believe in you. Why did he ask him 3 times? Because he was taking him through the clearing process. I'm not going to ask you once. I'm going to ask you again and even again. You're going to deny me 3 times. So in advance, I'm already asking if you believe in me. I'm helping you clear what you would have used against yourself later. And he says, and I'm already praying for your recovery. That's what you should be saying to people that harmed you. No, I'm not happy about what seemingly happened in this world. I don't like that. That was selfish and hurtful. It still hurts me. Fine, say that. Get it out. But don't forget to pray to see them at the end, already healed and whole, already home. What we do, based on the ego's advice, I am not going to pray for that person to be all holy and hanging out with God while I'm still in pain on earth. I'm going to keep them bound to my judgments until I feel better. Then I'll think about it. No, you carry it with you until you decide to let it go. Let everyone off the hook. I'm not saying don't, to deny what they've done and to deny your tears. Let them come out. Work it. Bring it out. Cry it out. Let's dismantle some of the long-term karma. But are you willing to go to instant manifestation? Yes, but you can't without doing this process. Look at the stuff, cry it out, heal it out, feel it out, work it out. Getting to a place where I just don't carry it anymore. Now you're getting into instant karma. I can see how just instantaneously things come up and they clear. I just can't picture me sitting in the presence of a counselor saying, well, this person did this. And the counselor says, well, would you like to work on some forgiveness? No, I want to hold on to this. Like I can't picture me going, oh, never. I know, no, not this one. This one I'm going to hold till the end of time. It just doesn't make sense to me. But if you're hurting, it does make sense. So hang on to that and work on it. Don't try to rush yourself through. Okay? Let's take a few centering breaths, please. One of you asked about emptiness. I'm sorry that you have that feeling at times. Remember to fill up with God's presence. One of the pieces of good news in relation to feeling empty, it's better to feel empty and have nothing than to be filled with hurts and hates. So it's possible that at times when you feel empty, it's because you've done good work and cleared yourself out. You just haven't yet refilled with something new. Watch your feelings, watch your reactions inside to the following. Any hurtful, hateful, selfish thing that was ever done to you, can you believe the following? And just watch your reaction. That on some conscious or unconscious level, on some level, you believed that you deserved it, or that it served a purpose, or that it was relating to healing, or clearing old karma. Is it just remotely possible? Don't let it turn into something that hurts you. That's not my intention, that's not your soul's intention, and it's not God's intention. People are messed up. They beat up and crucified Jesus, and yes, they also did things to you. Jesus, however, owned exactly what was happening is what he wanted. Just remotely is it possible that the strangest things that have ever happened, I'm not saying you deserved it, I'm saying, is it possible that on some level you might have been believing in that? Maybe it was karma. Maybe there was a lesson. See, in God, none of that's true. There was no karma and there was no lesson. So you're going to end up good at the end of the day with all this. But we have to start with, fine. On some level, I'll accept that I might have played a part. From my mind, I was just an innocent child. So how could I have played a part? Because lifetimes. Is it possible? That's all. And I say to you, Father, Mother, God, if that's true, it could not have been my divine self that did things that brought things back to me, or even that believed I deserved karma. That can't be the God self. Father, Mother, God, I was, in some ways, you could say, insane to think that I was flawed and needed to learn the hard way, anything. That was not your will. If ever I made a mistake, literally on the outside, or where most of the time it happens, guys, it's in our mind. When we believe we are less than holy beings, all we have to do is believe we're flawed, and it can attract abuse. It's not always apples for apples, like the head tells us. All you had to have done ever was believe that you're flawed, and it can attract harm. Is that a possibility? Yes. Why would I have believed I was flawed? Starting with separating from God, the effects, the fall in the garden metaphorically, not marrying the right person, not dating the right person, bargaining my body away, too much drugs or alcohol, and the list goes on. Lifetimes. I've killed, I've taken from people in lifetimes. So yes, I can see where I might feel less than holy. And that can draw to me hurtful things. And as much as is possible, Father, Mother, God, Holy Spirit of God, I am saying, enter my mind and clear this out as much as you know you can do in this moment. Enter my mind and start uprooting all these contracts and beliefs. Whatever I have done in time, in the world history, is not real because it isn't in God. So whatever I've done to others, please forgive me. Whatever I've done to myself, I am forgiven. Whatever others have done, you knew not what you were doing. I'm not enabling the insanity. I cry on behalf of all this insanity. And I ask for your holy presence to replace all that is just being lifted out. You know what I really want to feel is God's holy presence. God's reminder that I am a holy child of God, in whom God is well pleased. Peace. Peace to us all. Peace to every cell of your body. The peace and presence and healing of God enters every brain cell that we've damaged, every organ, every gland. Your energy systems are being filled with liquid light, the healing, forgiving presence of God. And in so doing, we enter grace. The next 30 seconds, with each inhale, slowly imagine I'm filled with the grace of God. Exhale, so it is. And just do that over and over. I am filled with the grace of God. And so it is. Slowly drawing your presence back to the room, but slowly. I am filled with the grace of God. My cup is overflowing with the grace of God. I am calling and affirming the grace of God in my life, because now you're standing in a place of power. You've filled up with God's presence. So now you're blessing and affirming it. My friendships are blessed with the grace of God. My records, Akashic records, are filled with the liquid light presence and grace of God. My finances are blessed with the grace of God. My body is filled with the grace of God. My decision making is filled with the grace of God. And the grace of God goes with me wherever I am. And so it is. Thank you. Just take a moment to integrate, assimilate. In a moment, we'll do our collection and our closing prayer, but just while you're slowly integrating, please keep in mind, first of all, thank you if you're watching online. You can like us and do all that good stuff. Yeah, it's just, it's great to have you join us, because some of you I notice on YouTube, or on Facebook for that matter, but on YouTube, there's people that'll watch a video and they'll say it's 5 years after we filmed it here, and yet somehow the words are so exact for what they're going through. It's the timelessness of God, you know? But thank you for watching us online. And we're collecting the final donations to do our roof and replace our roof, which is like 30 grand. So if anybody has the means, we'd appreciate your help. And if you want to sign up for crystal bed sessions, those are the healing crystal lights over the chakras in the healing room outside. There'll be a clipboard in the foyer, so somebody will be over there to sign you up for those if you'd like. It's all through the week they have those. And you can call if you don't do it now. You can call and just, schedule one. We have something called the Enchanted Healing Room, and that's off premises, like a 1 block away. The Enchanted Healing Room has a few of our chaplains that do work there, and everything from more like cosmic energy work to massage. They're licensed and or certified in various skills. But we have a brochure in the foyer, and it's available from our office, so you can learn more about it in case you want to go and experience some of the different healing modalities in this room. Yes, and the last thing, Daughters of Heaven. conference. You know, we're going to announce that every week for the next couple of weeks, but if you, please remember, if you're not attending in person, if you can, do that. Sign up right away, Daughters of Heaven. You can go to the website, Daughters of Heaven, or to our website, and there'll be a link there, info about it. Absolutely wonderful. There's a book in the bookstore called The Daughters of Heaven that can tell you a lot more. It's about light workers that are committed to being the presence of God. As I say, you know, many times, light workers are basically, you know, helping to bring people home, right? Aren't they? Daughters of Heaven are about bringing God to light workers and to the world. So there's that very beautiful distinction. So, yeah, so if you're called to do so, you know, sign up in person. But please remember, a lot of people forget this, and I can tell by their questions and posts, you know, gosh, you know, I'm working that week for the 100 billionth time. You sign up and you can watch it any day, any hour when it's convenient. You can sign up, if not here in person, simply virtually. You're signed up. It's less expensive, and you know, I mean, it's only a couple $100 anyway, but you save and you can just watch remotely. So at least try to commit to that, okay? And I tell you that it's not like just about selling tickets. It's about getting people to attend a life-changing event. But I also believe the world needs it. Needs, you know, more of us really collaborating together on this. So join us if you can for the conference. In the meantime, thank you for being with us. We're going to do our collection and our closing prayer. Just be as generous as you can be, please. The purple bags are for your love offerings. Just put them in there. Your love offering, check, cash, whatever it is. And the baskets are for any extra donations, like for people of lesser means or special projects, okay? All right. The prayer is on the seat backs in front of you, or it's posted online. Together, please. Divine love flowing through me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive, and so it is. Thank you. It'll only take them a minute or two to pass those around through the whole room, but while they're doing it, can anyone share, what did you learn or hear today that made the most sense for you and or could make the most difference for you? Yes?
My topic was neutrality, which you covered so well.
Right on.
Not reacting
The not
to
reacting.
the stuff that I brought in to my life.
Right. Good.
It was for a reason. Let go.
Good. So it really zeroed in on exactly what you were looking
and
for.
forgive any others that were involved.
You know, guys, I know how hard that can hit us. If the more you've been hurt, selfishness of others, betrayals, oh my God, it hits so hard. So I know that it can be very weird to have some guy, you know, standing up front saying, you know, it's sounding like I'm brushing it off, but I'm not. Cry the tears, talk, be held, be supported. I get it. Please listen to that. So it's hard to hear when somebody says, however, forgive. Release the power you think they have over you, because they don't. I understand how hard it can be to hear. On some level, did you play a part? See, some people, that's just too painful. Why? Well, because they don't want to believe they played a part first, because the ego is resistant. But also because if something really hurt me and I played a part, that doesn't feel very good to think I brought that on. I'm not saying you brought it on. Played a part. And it makes so much sense. Once you get it, you just can't go back to the other. It's very like, oh my God, I'm awake now. Now I understand. You know, you had a marriage and it didn't work out. It's kind of fun to sit back and go, I have no idea why we married in the first place. You know, when you want to be the one, but they left me and I know. That's the one that wants to hurt for a while. And what they did is selfish and so hurt. That's fine. But there's a day where you go, seriously. I'm more mad that they did it before I did. You know, I mean, you get to start to have these almost humorous angles of looking at things, and it's like, Oh my God. Yeah, I've said this many times. Like, oh, I didn't feel very invited and brought in by my family. But then when God says to me later, really? Here's a button. Push the button and I'll make you completely connected to that family. I'm like, never mind. Because I realized that they're not me. That's not me. But as a kid, it hurt. So I can talk that and feel that. But me, the spiritual me knows. Thank God. Because I would have been caught up in that thing that whatever they are, they do, and I would have never been doing this. This is all I am. This is it. When you get that, it's easier to see through those who betrayed or the marriage that didn't work out and all those, I wish my mom would have hugged me for, more often. It's okay. You start to go, no, I can see it now. If I came in feeling a lot of guilt and shame from another lifetime, let's say somebody in a reading told you that, you might be able to see more clearly as to why you had more distance from some of those people this lifetime. It just starts to get clearer. I don't talk about that topic that often because I know how hard it can be for some people to hear that. Who wants to go to a nice, warm, beautiful Sunday service and then leave going, oh, great. It's my fault. Which is not what I said. But you could leave thinking that I said that. And if I did, it's your fault anyway. Anyone else to share? Yes?
Long-term karma, switch to instant karma, switch to grace.
Yes, from long-term karma, instant karma. Great. Did that make sense? Yes. What about speeding up manifestation thoughts? If you release the karma, there's no buffer to make things have to last to get healed. I mean, how is that not the coolest thing? Knowing that is more important than inheriting a Maserati. If they make those anymore, I don't know. Okay? I mean, so think about this. That's just gold, man. That's to know that. Instant manifestations, get your stuff out of the way. It's not a technology. It's not a tool that somebody's going to give you online. You have to get the stuff out of the way, and there is no buffer, because in God there's no time. When you call in something of God now, it already is there, but you can't see it yet because belief systems are in the way. Please stand for our closing prayer. I appreciate everybody being here. God bless you and your willingness to learn and share so deeply and so much. The song we used this morning for the folks online is The Voice by the Moody Blues. Centering into a place of gratitude. And when we get our stuff out of the way, we're not weighted down. We're fully open as vessels of God's presence. No matter what our background, our religion, our choices of path today, we just ask the Holy Spirit to make us as fully your presence as possible. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. And the presence of God watches over us. Wherever we go, God is, I am, we are, and so it is. Thank you all. Peace be with you. We have a Daughters of Heaven meeting in the